12 months. It's been 12 months since you took over.
12 months, and what a ride. It's been, probably one of the most thrilling and exciting things I've done in my life, and I've done a few.
Yeah, definitely through everything, the ups and downs. The remaining feeling right now is pride.
What possessed you? Why?
Well, we like to challenge ourselves, right? And at a certain point in time, about 2 or 3 years ago, we were peaking our next challenge, and our next challenge that wasn't just physical or extreme or whatnot. It had to do with business, building our own business. And we soon realized that actually, rather than building our own business, we wanted to work with an existing organization, a football club, to realize unfulfilled potential. So it was all about finding a club that we could feel that we could get behind, first as fans, then as volunteers, and then what became ultimately as owners to take it to where we think it can go.
You were here for some time before you took over. Didn't put you off.
Well, actually speaking for myself, what really excites me is creating something that has huge potential, putting teams together, and really, giving people hope, right? And when I came for the first time here at the Bev, I think it was around October 2021. And, having been to all sorts of Premier League matches, Champions League, all that stuff, what I found here was, sleeping giant, right? Huge potential, a great location, great potential for the club, people coming and watching the sport and the team play. And it soon dawned on me that, London, or Southwest London, deserves a strong new team.
What were the challenges though when you took over?
Look, when we took over, I think it's challenges that are shared by many clubs that are in England and the lower leagues, where there isn't any money really flowing down, or barely any money flowing down from higher up in the pyramid, where people are relying, or the club is relying on the hard work of volunteers, of players that make sacrifices to be part of the squad and juggle multiple jobs alongside playing, and everybody really is in it together. But at the same time, then you're competing not only against other clubs that have more resources and have been professionalizing, because more and more clubs are getting resources and are professionalizing not only our level but even below, which is pretty crazy to think about. So, we came in and we found a club that was run by volunteers on a virtually an amateur setup, competing against larger giants, competing against a system that really is rowing against you. So it got to the point where just after we took over the club, so we took over a year ago in December 2022, by January, the club would not have been able to make payroll had it not been for the funds that as the new owners, we and our backers put in.
Was it difficult to find the investment at the start?
No, it's difficult in a sense, it's difficult to find investment because you have to convince a lot of people about the vision, the dream, and the journey, right? And ultimately, when we took over the club, it was uninvestable, to be fair, right? The economic situation in which was in, the amateur operations that, of course, were what sustained the club up until that level, but at the same time, the other hand was what actually took the club to effectively not be able to make payroll in January, right? So you had to convince people that based on what we've done in our past careers, we could actually come in and give a sustainable future to the club. And that was basically predicated on our plan and the vision for the club, our quick wins, and essentially, a rapid process of transformation. And I think what people usually in any program of transformation or any environment that you're in don't realize is that more often than not, what you need to do is make the difficult decisions that nobody does, right? And if you look at where the club was versus where it is right now, a lot of it has been through making difficult decisions that sometimes don't win you the popularity prize, but do win you the sustainability prize. And then you can actually see the results with the crowds that we have, right? 84% increase in attendance.
Is the strength of what you've done the fact that you've got more than one investor, you've got a group?
Well, look, I think the way we look at it is whatever we do in any organization, we want to inject certainty and vision and the ability then to deliver on that vision, right? So we soon realized that actually, in order to take the club to where it can go, we need a lot of people to come together. A lot of people that were here before us, and that a lot of people that would come because we were involved. And that includes investors, and all cards on the table, we're very transparent about this to our own investors and to our own co-owners. We say, look, your money is important for the future of the club, but it's more about the money. It's your involvement, your personal effort, your support, even if it's just moral support. But luckily, the investors and our co-owners have done more than just provide moral support. They introduce us to people that can contribute in different ways. They come to the matches. They help out in different areas of the club. And that is what it's all about. So I absolutely think that's our strength, that we've been able to put together people from many different walks of life, not only as investors, but as partners really in this venture across every area of the club.
Have the dreams or ambitions of the investors changed in the 12 months that you've been in charge?
It's very interesting, right? Because some of the investors initially came in, not knowing much about football, or some of them call it soccer, right? And not knowing much about the whole English pyramid, the whole concept of promotion and relegation. To some of them was new, right? And some of them came in because they were enthused about the idea of a community club. And then you can actually see that through our performance, not only on the pitch but off the pitch, they actually realized, well, we're onto something very special here, right? We can actually do something that was virtually never done before, and we can actually put Richmond on the football map, right? Not only in England but of the world, right?
And look, I think that's a testament to the incredible work that everybody, from the academy students that are filming our matches, to yourself, Mark, to people on the board, to our investors, our players, Mel, everybody coming together has delivered something quite special. Because yes, what we do is sell a vision, right? But there's so long that you can walk just on the fact of we're going to get there and selling a vision. The fact that we've been able all together to show results, to show that the vision that we have to do football differently, to do football for more than just a result. We want to win, but win in a certain way. And the fact that we've been delivering 12 months on so well, both on and off the pitch, it drives people to believe more and more and more, and to want to be part of that journey.
Listen, easy to look back, but is there anything that you would have done differently in the first 3 months?
Hindsight is 2020, right? And it's always easy to look back and criticize yourself. What could we have done differently?
Look, I'll jump at this and say, in all my career, and we have a shared career of doing this as well, we tend to be known as the guys that go very fast, right? We go hard and fast to deliver. Sometimes because it's absolutely most time because we are called into high stakes situations, just like when we arrived and there were no funding for payroll, and you're drinking from the fire hose there, and you're just trying to fix things as fast as you can. Inevitably, you end up breaking things, and inevitably, all cards on the table, you don't take everybody on that journey. Now, I think that even if we were to go much slower, and had we gone much slower, still we would not have been able to take everyone on the journey. But a criticism is you can always try that extra bit to say, hey, this is why we're doing it. Come along for the ride. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to do things in a way that you haven't done it before. But it's for a good reason. It's so that we can grow our academy. It's so that we can have students working at the turnstiles on the media team. So you can have a place where players are happy to come in and give it all. Give it all for the crest, for the club. That's ultimately what we need to do. And you don't do that by being comfortable or by waiting for everyone to catch up to that. Unfortunately, that's the reality of things.
So, what does it look like in 5 years' time? Where are we in 5 years' time?
Well, in 5 years' time, I strongly believe that Richmond and Southwest London deserve a league club. And of course, it's going to be a hard journey, right? But I think Hampton and Richmond deserve to be a league club with aspiring potential to make it to the Championship and to the Premier League, right? And even to the Champions League, right? And I really stand by that, right? Because clubs like Brentford have done it. Clubs like Luton have done it, right? And there's no reason why Hampton and Richmond cannot do that as well, right? Ultimately, that will also require some further difficult decisions, some further professionalization, some further investment. But ultimately, our job is to take the club forward.
And it's more than a job, because when we talk about the aspiration for the club, First off, I'm surprised when people say, why are you even talking about promotion this season or in future seasons to get to League Two, to get to the Champions League? Are you crazy? Have some decency, for God's sake, they tell us. Well, if you're a football club in the English pyramid, what do you exist for if not to perform and succeed?
Who's been, a big help? Who's helped you at the beginning of this journey?
I think right at the beginning of this journey, the people that have helped us are very close friends, who have become sponsors as well, right, and investors as well, right, and they really believed in our craziness, because of course they've known us for a while, and they know that we like a challenge, But also, what I'm very proud of is the people that we've brought on board, from the likes of obviously Mel, right. Paul Tisdale, who brought us Mel. Then we have the likes, of course, not to mention the investors that have followed us, but also the people that we started bringing on board, such as, of course, yourself, Mark. You've transformed our media capabilities, and right now, we have all of our media is being basically done under your leadership by academy students. What a dream, right? That's amazing. Then we have the likes of, for example, Louis. And I remember, and this for me is one of the best stories that I love sharing, right? I remember the 1st of January, giving out mince pies and mulled wine, right? There was this guy looking at me, filming me, and I was thinking, who is this weird guy filming me, right? And then a couple of weeks later, some of the volunteers, the media volunteers leave, right? But Louis, had the courage to come and say, look, I'm gonna stay on. What can I help you with, right? And that, was the beginning of a symbiotic relationship, because of course, Louis started off as a volunteer, then he started working part-time, and guess what? And he's full-time, right? And what Louis has been doing is absolutely fantastic, one of our youngest employees, but that just goes to show that if you enable people, if you create a positive environment, right, you can actually accelerate their progression and growth. And I look forward to seeing, Louis bloom and expand even further, right? But that's one example, and we have many different other examples. I could say Amelia, how she's running food and beverage, and of course...
Will King started off as a volunteer as well. He's now the managing director. James Mende, who, our chief of staff, he could be doing all sorts of stuff, and he's working with us, right? James Newman, again, works in, big organizations in the world of sport. There's so many people that are coming on this journey. So when you ask us about both the ambition, it is about bringing people together, because we don't just want to go up the pyramid. We want to do it in a certain way. We want to do things differently. And it is all about development, both developing a club, other people, and yourselves. And everybody that's come on to this journey wants to develop themselves and wants to help develop others. From Mel to yourself, Mark, obviously, to James Mende, everybody is in it for that reason, to develop something special with values in mind, with a clear purpose in mind. So it's absolutely not winning at all costs. And that's what we share with everybody.
What about people that were here in place before?
The people that were here before, I think, a special shout out goes to Phil Weller, right? Because people don't realize that Phil Weller was one of the architects of effectively saving the club, right? If it weren't for Phil's dedication and commitment through our phase of the negotiations, there would be no club, because there was effectively no funding in January. So Phil has been an absolute star, continues to be it. Love the guy for his dedication. I have a lot of time for Phil.
Look, we still have the same chairman and vice chairman that we had when we came in, right? Jacques Lebar and Bet Hudson. Again, testament to people that wanted to make sure that the club was in safe hands, rightly so, and that they could contribute in whichever way they find time to, and their expertise as well, into the growth of the club. So, one could think, it's a complete revolution, everything has changed, but this club has been around for 100 years. A lot of people have, given everything for this club, and a lot of people are still part of the journey.
Well, that's why, I love to see people that have been involved in this club for years, even including like Stuart Duddy, right, who comes whenever he can, right? Great to see him, helping out and managing, the flows of the crowds. Alistair Bruce, another guy who has dedicated a lot of time to the club, right? Love the guy as well, he comes and supports. There's a lot of people that are still part of this club. They still find a home, a community that wants to enable them and help them. And we are just extremely happy to have them with us. And, we're welcoming all.
There was that sort of like thing when you came in that we're the real Richmond FC, that Ted Lasso thing.
Well, the whole Ted Lasso angle, admittedly has opened a good chunk of investment that came to the club. If anything, as a club, we should be thankful to the fact that Ted Lasso exists, because true story, if it weren't for that, the club probably wouldn't have had the investment that it had, or wouldn't be in the position that is right now, right? So perspective is always very important.
Look, Ted Lasso put Richmond and football in the same sentence, just like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are clearly rivals in football ownership, have put lower league football or National League football on the map, on the global map. So again, we should be thanking Welcome to Wrexham. We should be thanking Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney for what they've done on putting the National League on the map. And we're definitely going to lean into it if it means that we can attract more resources, more interest, more support to Hampton and Richmond.
Now, will we ever rebrand to AFC Richmond? Absolutely never, right? We're Hampton and Richmond, we're proud, right? We're the Beavers, right? This is our identity, this is what we stand for, and we will always celebrate our heritage, our legacy, but also our future vision. So our plan has always been to create and refresh a brand in a way that's actually relevant to youth, right? It excites youth, it gives them hope, right? Gives them an element of glory, right? And it lends itself to be a brand that can live beyond football as well, because it's not just about football, it's about lifestyle, right? It's about community. It's about standing for something that's bigger and transcends football, right? It's a sense of belonging. And that's why, we're very excited about it. But if it means that we need to ride or leverage Ted Lasso as a brand to gain awareness, to, be known across the world, we will absolutely unapologetically do that.
What's pleased you most?
The thing personally that has pleased me the most is to see youth coming back to the Bev, getting engaged, participating, celebrating, getting to meet and having a much more intimate relationship with their players and with their club. And, I remember coming here since October 2021, right? There weren't many kids, right? And now you come on a Saturday, even on a Tuesday, right? Our fandom is getting younger, they're getting louder.
I think the thing I'm proudest right now is the community we're building and the spirit of that community. It's a community of players that leave it all on the backroom staff, the team, behind the team, and the wider community. When you walk around Hampton, you walk around Teddington, you walk around Richmond, and you start seeing people come up to you if you're wearing the club badge, or ask you about the result, or tell you, by the way, I'm coming with a bunch of mates to support the club. And of course, success breeds success. It would probably be a different story if we weren't where we are in the table, but the position in the table is a reflection of the community coming together with that spirit of never letting go, always improving. So that's what I'm proudest of.
And then the reverse of that, the biggest challenge that you think we face?
I think the biggest challenge that we face is always continuing to grow, right? So one of the key things that we always talk with Will and the team is every time we do something, we need marginal gains. Do it a little bit better. We're not expecting a 10% increase every time, but so long as you do 1% every time, that adds up. And that happens both on and off the pitch. And it's a message that as well Mel and Paul give to the lads when they go train and when they play. So the biggest challenge is keeping that positive momentum, always evolving, testing new things.
And a way I look at this is going through growing pains. We're growing very fast and we want to grow even more and possibly even faster, right? And so you go through some pain, you go through some confusion, and what also happens is you outgrow your clothes sometimes, right? And so things like the infrastructure we need to succeed, right? Training facilities for our first team, for our youth, for our academy, for the women's setup that we want to launch. There's so much that we want to achieve, and that will require more growth and more infrastructure. So that's a challenge that we're always thinking of. How do we address that going forward? Because you don't want to be the club that goes up and comes crashing down because you didn't plan for the future. You want to be the club that's always thinking ahead and being ready for the future before it comes, if that makes sense.
A lot of investment was made during the summer. Things were changed. There's a lot of infrastructure that's gone in. Some you can see and some you can't see. People asking, where is our plastic pitch? Where are our lights?
Look, there's more investment to come in the club. That's for sure, right? So long as we're going to be involved, there's always going to be more investment. That's the way to grow. We're now looking at what are the best options to continue investment in the Beverie. Of course, a very valid angle may be continue with the idea of investing in a 3G pitch and artificial grass. And we hope that by the time comes next summer to do that, we'll be in a position with the council to say, right, off you go, we do that. On the other hand, we also need to consider whether it would make sense to invest more in the grass pitch as we've done this season and actually say we have the best grass pitch in the league and have that as our objective. So it is all about balancing the different needs. On one hand, the sporting needs of playing matches, the sporting needs of training, of hosting more people at the ground, at the Beverie, but also where else could that investment go if you didn't invest there. So it's about balancing many different things, and what we will commit to is making the best decision for the club, right? We won't do something just because we said we will.
And just to give you an example of the fluidity, when we started talking about this project, the quote that we were given was a 3G pitch will cost you 500K and the floodlights 100K, but you can get some grants, right? Well, of course, we come in, we do all the due diligence, talk to all the suppliers. So surprise, surprise, a 3G pitch plus the irrigation system is not 500K, it's actually 1.1 million, right? Then the floodlights on top of that, another 100K. But guess what? You can't get a grant on the floodlights because to get a grant, you have to put a charge on the lease. And the council will not allow a charge on the lease. So, a lot of things that people maybe don't know, either because they don't have the experience of working in these type of projects or simply because they haven't looked at the detail, right? But ultimately, it's not as easy as just saying we want a 3G pitch and boom, lay it on that, right? You got to think about all the implications because guess what? With a 3G pitch, you can't use it for more than 50 hours. Because if you use it for more than 50 hours, you don't get the FIFA rating. And if you don't get the FIFA rating, you don't get to play the league matches, right? So there's a lot of moving pieces that need to be balanced out to make sure that whatever we do in terms of investment doesn't actually go to the detriment of the club.
What we will do is provide the best playing surface possible for our first team. And what we will do is continue looking at the best options to have the infrastructure, the training infrastructure, so that we can have more youth, more academy students playing football and learning with us. That we will commit to. How you do that, it's never a straight line.
Have you enjoyed the first 12 months?
We don't do it for enjoyment. We do it for fulfillment, I think. And I'm very fulfilled and I'm full of pride with what everybody's achieving. I mean, we set out with a vision that if you had put it on paper, it would probably look what it's looking now, right? 12 months on, I would have signed if you had told me you're going to be where we are. But that's just the beginning. So I'll go with I'm fulfilled.
I would echo that, right? For me, one of my spiritual teachers said, if you're happy, you're not pushing hard enough.